Every great makeover begins with a dream. Ours started with a simple idea to turn a dull backyard into a cozy French bistro patio. Picture the warmth of old Paris, the scent of fresh espresso, and the sound of light chatter under a soft evening sky. This project isn't just about design, it's about creating a feeling, a place that tells a story. The patio we began with was plain concrete, surrounded by tired wooden fences. But in that emptiness, we saw potential: ivy-covered walls, wrought iron chairs, and twinkling café lights swaying in the breeze. The transformation ahead felt both exciting and daunting. We wanted every detail to capture the romance of a Parisian escape: aged stone textures, rustic furniture, and soft, natural greenery. It would be a place to linger, sip, and dream. A space not just for dining, but for daydreaming about cobblestone streets and café terraces. Golden light spilling across ivy walls, a small round table with linen napkins, and a steaming cappuccino waiting to be sipped. That's where we're headed. Before beauty can bloom, you need to clear space for it. The first step was removing everything that didn't belong: old furniture, broken planters, and the clutter that dulled the atmosphere. It was a satisfying kind of chaos, stripping away the unnecessary to reveal the bones of the space. As the patio emptied, its true size and light emerged. Sunlight poured freely across the bare ground, and the walls looked ready for a new story. It was no longer a forgotten corner, it was a blank page waiting for its first brushstroke. We power washed, scrubbed, and swept until the concrete gleamed faintly again. The sound of rushing water and the smell of clean air felt like the first breath of a new beginning. It was simple work, but it set the tone for everything to come. Freshly cleared patio, wide, open, and sunlit. Dust swirling in golden rays, the air buzzing with quiet promise. The stage was ready for transformation. Nothing says French charm quite like walls covered in ivy. We chose a lush, climbing variety that would soften the hard edges and bring life to the space. The plan was to create a living backdrop, something that would grow, shift, and change with the seasons. We installed trellises along the fence and gently trained the vines upward, tying them with soft twine. Within weeks, tiny green tendrils began reaching for the sky, wrapping the patio in a gentle, natural embrace. As the leaves thickened, the air around the patio felt cooler, fresher. The dull wooden fence slowly disappeared under waves of green. The sound of rustling ivy became its own music, a reminder that beauty often grows quietly. Walls of emerald leaves, sunlight filtering through, and shadows dancing across aged stone pots. The patio beginning to feel like a secret garden tucked away in Paris. No French bistro is complete without character, and character often comes with history. We spent weekends exploring flea markets, searching for wrought iron chairs, weathered tables, and pieces with stories to tell. Each find felt like discovering a small treasure. We didn't want anything new or polished, imperfection was the goal. The chipped paint and worn edges spoke of time and life, giving the patio a soul that couldn't be bought in a store. After cleaning and lightly restoring each piece, we arranged them beneath the growing ivy walls. The mix of textures, iron, wood, and stone, created harmony without effort. It felt like stepping into a space that had always existed, waiting for us to notice it. A vintage bistro set under ivy-covered walls, soft light falling over a weathered table, a vase of lavender resting in the center. A quiet corner where stories linger. As the sun sets, light becomes the heart of the atmosphere. We wanted our patio to glow softly, like a café terrace in Montmartre. String lights, lanterns, and candles would create that warm, golden haze that invites you to stay a little longer. We draped strands of café lights overhead, looping them from post to post until they formed a gentle canopy. When we switched them on for the first time, the space transformed instantly, suddenly intimate, romantic, and alive. Lanterns lined the floor and flickered with soft amber light, while candles on tables added a delicate shimmer. The play of light and shadow made every surface, iron, leaf, and wood, glow with quiet charm. A soft twilight sky above, strings of golden bulbs twinkling, ivy leaves glistening in the glow, and laughter carried through the evening air. A scene made for slow sips and gentle smiles. The centerpiece of any French patio is the table. It's where stories are shared and moments linger. We chose a small, round bistro table with a marble top and iron legs, the kind you'd find tucked beside a Parisian street. It was simple, elegant, and perfectly imperfect. We dressed it lightly, a white linen cloth, a small bouquet of lavender, and mismatched vintage plates. The goal was effortless charm, the kind that feels unplanned but deeply intentional. When sunlight touched the marble, it reflected like soft glass. At night, candlelight shimmered off its surface, turning each meal into a quiet celebration. It wasn't about grand design, it was about warmth, detail, and atmosphere. The table is marble glinting, linen fluttering, a single croissant on a vintage plate, steam rising from a cup of café au lait. It feels like Paris, right in your backyard. A true bistro patio breathes through its plants. Beyond ivy, we added herbs, flowers, and small trees in terracotta pots. Rosemary for scent, lavender for color, and olive branches for a touch of the Mediterranean. The greenery framed the space like living art. We placed each pot carefully, some on stands, others directly on the ground, to create a relaxed, layered effect. No symmetry, no stiffness, just the casual balance of nature and style. When the breeze moved through, the air filled with fragrance. Bees visited the lavender, and the sound of rustling leaves mixed with the clinking of cups. The patio wasn't just beautiful anymore, it was alive. Terracotta pots spilling with herbs, lavender blooming in soft purple, ivy crawling higher each day, and dappled sunlight dancing across every leaf. It's the little details that truly transport you. We added pieces that whispered of old Paris, vintage signage, a small chalkboard menu, and framed prints of café scenes. Each accent brought its own layer of charm and history. A weathered metal clock hung above the ivy wall, its face faded just enough to suggest the passage of time. On the bistro table, a brass candlestick and linen napkins completed the look, understated but elegant. We even found a small antique radio that played soft French jazz in the background. It filled the air with warmth, turning the space into more than decor, it became an experience. A chalkboard that reads Café du Jardin, warm candlelight flickering beside old prints, and music floating softly through the evening air. When the makeover was complete, the first evening felt magical. The lights flickered on, the ivy shimmered in the dusk, and the air was rich with the scent of lavender and coffee. It was quiet, peaceful, and full of the small beauty we'd been working toward. We sat down at the table with fresh baguettes, soft cheese, and a bottle of red wine. The conversation came easily, laughter spilling out like music between sips and bites. The patio felt alive, as if it had been waiting for this very moment. Every corner glowed, the lanterns by the wall, the candles on the table, and the warm hue of the string lights above. Time seemed to slow, and for a moment, the world outside faded away completely. A couple sharing a quiet meal under glowing bulbs, ivy walls embracing them, and the night carrying the soft sound of clinking glasses. A perfect Parisian dream right at home. Looking back, the transformation was more than just physical, it changed the way the space felt, and the way we felt in it. A simple patio became a sanctuary, a place where time slows and the senses awaken. Every time we step outside now, the ivy whispers in the breeze, the furniture tells its story, and the lights glow like memories of summer nights in France. It's proof that beauty can be created with intention, patience, and a touch of imagination. The bistro patio reminds us that you don't need to travel far to feel transported. Sometimes, it only takes a few vines, a vintage chair, and a bit of heart to create your own escape. The final scene, morning sunlight over the ivy, a fresh croissant on the table, a quiet hum of the city beyond. The French bistro dream, alive and everlasting.